TikTok users first began noticing problems when trying to post about ICE raids and the Minneapolis shooting. Videos failed to upload, sat in reviews for hours, or suddenly received no views at all. But soon after that, other creators reported the same thing happening, not just with the Minneapolis shooting and the ICE raids, but also with DMs that mentioned Jeffrey Epstein. Whenever you would send a message in private DMs on TikTok, the word Epstein started to become blocked. And as you can imagine, this shocked a lot of people, and frustration spread quickly across the platform, with people claiming they were being quietly censored on politically sensitive topics. What you also have to remember is that a huge majority of ByteDance has been sold to investors that back Trump. And so this has caused a lot of concern for people. People are worried that their ability to use their voice on social media has become censored. Billie Eilish even spoke up about it and posted that TikTok is silencing people, sharing her brother's video about Epstein that had barely any engagement despite his massive audience. Journalist David Levitt said his political videos were being flagged, and his post about it exploded to over 1 million views. Senator Chris Murphy responded by calling the apparent suppression one of the top threats to democracy, warning that control of major platforms could shape what Americans are allowed to see. Now, as the backlash grew, California Governor Gavin Newsom weighed in on X, saying it was time to investigate and announcing a formal review into whether TikTok was violating state law by censoring Trump-critical content. Now, Newsom shared examples from users who said they could no longer even type the word Epstein without content being blocked or flagged. TikTok then blamed the widespread issues on a power outage at a U.S. data center, with communications head Jamie Favazza telling NBC News the disruptions were purely technical. A lot of people are saying it's interesting how a power outage would affect the words Epstein being typed in DMs or content being flagged regarding the Minneapolis shooting or ICE agents and their presence. Tech wizards in our comments, we'd love to know what your take is on this. So to understand how we got here, we have to go back several years. ByteDance merged Musical.ly into TikTok in 2017, turning it into the world's most downloaded app by 2022. But in 2020, Trump originally pushed for a TikTok ban during COVID, blaming concerns over China and national security, demanding that ByteDance sell the app within 90 days. If you remember, back in the lockdown, there was this huge scare about whether or not TikTok was going to shut down, and it was a huge trend back then. Obviously, TikTok didn't shut down, but Microsoft, Oracle, and Walmart explored a purchase, and no deal materialized, and the deadlines quietly expired. But originally, Trump was firmly in favor of banning TikTok. He had a change of heart, and he was asked why he had a change of heart. Take a look at this clip.
Make that decision. But I could see making a deal where the U.S. gets 50% of TikTok, polices it a little bit or a lot, depends on them. But remember, they make telephones in China, they make all sorts of things in China. Nobody ever complains about that. Here they're complaining about this. There's so many different products made in China, and nobody ever complained about it. The only one they complain about is TikTok. And TikTok is largely young people. I guess I have a warm spot for TikTok that I didn't have originally. But, I went on TikTok, and I won young people up by 36%, Peter. And Republicans typically don't do too well with young people. But it's a different Republican Party.
You wanted to block TikTok. Why did you change your mind?
Because I got to use it. And remember, TikTok is largely about kids, young kids. If China's going to get information about young kids, I don't know. I think, to be honest with you, I think we have bigger problems than that. But when you take a look at telephones that are made in China and all the other things that are made in China, military equipment made in China, TikTok, I think TikTok is not their biggest problem. But there's big value in TikTok if it gets approved. If it doesn't get approved, there's no value. So if we create that value, why aren't we entitled to like half?
In 2024, Congress passed a divest or ban law that President Biden signed, and TikTok sued subsequently, arguing it violated free speech protections. But around that time, Trump joined TikTok during the 2024 campaign and publicly addressed the ban. So once back in office, Trump declined to enforce this ban. Take a look at this clip of Trump talking about the TikTok ban.
We'll take a look at TikTok. You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points. And there are those that say that TikTok had something to do with that. Now, Joe Rogan did, and some of the other people that were recommended by my son Barron, he knew names. I said, who is that? Tell me, who's that? Dad, you got to be kidding. I can't believe you don't know. And I did those interviews, and it was actually sort of cute. Do you want to know the truth? But we did them, and that had an impact. But TikTok had an impact, and so we're taking a look at it. But, you know, we won youth. Republicans are always 30 points down in youth. I don't know why, but we ended up finishing. There was one poll that showed us down about 30. We were 35 or 36 points up with young people. So I have a little bit of a warm spot in my heart, I'll be honest. Yes, President.
Now, what a lot of people haven't paid attention to, like I said, there has been a deal that officially transfers TikTok's US operations to a group of investors, including Oracle over here in the US. But that deal happened just days ago, on January 22nd. And now, oversight of the algorithm was placed under Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison, who is a longtime Trump ally. And digital rights advocates warned this was exactly what critics feared would happen, saying Trump's promise to save TikTok meant selling it to allies willing to control the platform. And just days after the sale, users began reporting sudden suppression. A backlash spilled beyond TikTok. Reddit users came out discussing deleting the app, and a competitor jumping into the top 10 downloads in under 24 hours. Now, all of this is happening as more than 5 weeks have passed since the DOJ was legally required to release the Epstein-related documents, most of which are still not public. And now, the app Trump once tried to ban, then helped sell to one of his closest billionaire allies, is intentionally or not restricting posts about ICE and Epstein. TikTok is insisting it's a glitch. Critics say the timing is really hard to ignore, so the question remains, coincidence or censorship? Let us know in the comments down below. As always, my name is Jackson Buhai, and I will see you in the next one.